Okay, now let's look at quantitative viewpoints, management science, and operations management. The third of the historical perspectives, quantitative viewpoints, emphasize the application to management and quantitative techniques. The two approaches are management science, which focuses on using mathematics to aid in problem solving and decision making, and operations management, which focuses on managing the production and delivery of an organization's products or services more effectively. Now, before we jump into our two approaches more deeply, let's go ahead and take a look at a historical perspective of this. Around World War II, the Royal Air Force planners used mathematics and statistics to effectively allocate their limited resources. Now, Americans used the British model to form operations research teams, or you can call those OR teams, to determine how to deploy military equipment most effectively. Now, after the war, businesses also began using these techniques in the business world. Operations research teams, or OR techniques, have evolved into quantitative management, which once again is the application of management of quantitative techniques such as statistics and computer simulations. And we have two branches of quantitative management, and those are management science and operations management. Now, management science focuses on using mathematics to aid in problem solving, decision making, and strategic planning. Sometimes we just call management science, we just call that operations research. Now, the other branch of quantitative management is called operations management. Operations management focuses on managing the production and delivery of an organization's products or services more effectively. The technique of operations management are used when a warehouse store decides to reorder supplies, as an example. Other examples like work scheduling, production planning, where a facility is going to be located, and design. In addition to the historical perspective on management, there are three contemporary perspectives. Those are the systems, contingency viewpoint, and quality management viewpoint. Now we'll use figure 2.2 from your text to break these three down. The systems viewpoint regards the organization as a system of interrelated parts or collection of subsystems that operates together to achieve a common purpose. Now you can look at your organization as a collection of subsystems, parts making up the whole system, and your organization as a part of a larger environment. Now, to get a better understanding of this, let's just think of a college as a good example here. And you can just think of a typical college as it's being made up of a collection of academic departments, support staffs throughout the college, the students, and so on and so forth. But the college itself also acts as a system within the environment of education, having to be responsive to parents, alumni, legislature, and the people in which are in the towns that the colleges are located. So hopefully by thinking of a college and how all that works together, you can see that the systems viewpoint is used here because the college, the people, the students, the environment are all interrelated. Now, a system is based on four parts. We'll take a look at that using this figure here from the text. Those four parts are inputs, transformation processes, outputs, and then the last part of our system is feedback. Now, anything that goes into a system is an input. Inputs are just the people that are money, the information, the equipment, and materials required to produce an organization's goods or services. Now, the main activity of the organization is used to perform inputs into outputs. So the transformation processes are the organization's capabilities in management, its internal processes, and the technology that are all applied to converting our inputs that we defined earlier into our outputs. Those outputs are whatever comes out of the system. So the outputs are such things as products, services, profits, losses, employee satisfaction or discontent, and the like that are produced by an organization. Once again, anything that comes out of the system. And feedback is information about the reaction of the environment to the outputs that affects the inputs. So you can think of it as, are our customers buying or not buying the product? That information is an example of feedback. We have two different types of systems. We have open systems and closed systems. An open system continuously interacts with its environment, and nearly all systems are open systems. And a closed system has little interaction with its environment. That is, it receives very little feedback from the environment. Now, any organization that ignores feedback from the environment definitely risks failure. Now let's take a look at our second viewpoint, and that's the contingency viewpoint. Now, the contingency viewpoint emphasizes that a manager's approach should vary according to the individual and the environmental situation. That makes this the most practical because it addresses problems on a case-by-case basis. And then finally, we'll take a look at our last viewpoint, which is the quality management viewpoint, which includes quality control, quality assurance, and TQM, or total quality management. Now, before we look at quality control and quality assurance, let's define quality. Quality refers to the total ability of a product or service to meet our customers' needs. Therefore, if it doesn't meet their needs, we don't have a quality product or service. Now, quality control is defined as the strategy for minimizing errors by managing each stage of production. This uses statistical sampling to locate errors by testing just some of the items in a particular production run. And those of you that have ever worked in manufacturing, you might have seen this. So we just take a sample size, test, and make sure that our quality is being controlled because we have minimized errors in the different stages of production of our product. Or if you're doing a service, you may break that into steps that you're performing that service so that you make sure each step is giving you overall quality. And then quality assurance focuses on the performance of workers, urging employees to strive for zero defects. Now, this strategy or quality strategy has been less successful because often employees have no control over the overall design of the work process. Therefore, they're unable to reach those zero defects. Now let's look at total quality management, or commonly just called TQM. Now, total quality management is a comprehensive approach led by top management and supportive throughout the organization. It's dedicated to continuous quality improvement, training, and customer satisfaction. And within TQM, we have 4 different components that make up our total quality management. And those 4 components are make continuous improvement a priority. Now, companies that practice TQM are never satisfied. They make small incremental improvements an everyday priority in all areas of the organization. And the reason for this is by improving every little thing or everything in just a little bit all the time, the company can achieve long-term quality, efficiency, and overall customer satisfaction. The second component is called get every employee involved. So to build teamwork, trust, and mutual respect, these companies that practice TQM see that every employee is involved in the continuous improvement process, and this will require that workers must be trained and empowered to find and solve problems themselves, thereby affecting the overall quality of either the product or services provided by that organization. Now, the third component is listen to and learn from customers and employees. These companies that employ TQM pay attention to their customers, the people who use their products or services. In addition, employees within the company listen and learn from other employees, those outside their own work areas, in providing a better quality or service for their products or for their services. And the fourth component is to use accurate standards to identify and eliminate problems. These organizations are always alert to how competitors do things better, then try to improve on them. This is just a process that you probably hear in almost every organization, and that term is benchmarking. So based on those 4 components, you can see that TQM is very important to an organization as it's emphasizing infusing concepts of quality throughout the total organization in a way that will deliver quality products and service to all of its customers, both internal and external. So by employing good TQM practices, your company is not only just making a good quality product or service, but it's also allowing them to deal with competition in the business world, whether that's local competition or global competition. And in a future chapter, we'll expand on total quality management a little bit and just talk about some of the concepts that organizations that apply TQM use, such as uh, reducing their overall cycle time in their processes, or applying Six Sigma principles and projects into their organization to reduce costs and improve throughput, overall quality, and such like that, and different benchmarking. Just we'll get into those in further chapters in our course. And the last part of chapter 2 is about the learning organization in an era of accelerated change. Now, a learning environment is one just like we as individuals are, in that we must continually learn new things or face obsolescence. So in the work fields, we need to continuously learn new skills to make ourselves more marketable or to be able to move up in our organizations. So organizations, managers must try to establish a culture that enhances their employees' ability to learn. Therefore, we should have a learning organization, which is an organization that actively creates, acquires, and transfers knowledge within itself and is able to modify its behavior to reflect that new knowledge. So let's look at this and break this down. A learning organization has 3 parts. Creating and acquiring knowledge. So managers trying to achieve need to actively infuse their organization with new ideas and information. And that knowledge comes from constantly scanning their external environments and employee training and development. The second part is transferring knowledge. We as managers must be actively working at transferring knowledge throughout the organization, therefore reducing barriers of sharing information and ideas. And the third part is modifying behavior. Managers must encourage employees to use the new knowledge to change their behavior and help achieve the overall organizational goals. There are 3 roles that managers play in building a learning organization. They need to build a commitment to learning, to lead the way in investing in learning, publicly promoting and creating rewards for it. We need to work to generate ideas with impact, ideas that add value for customers, employees, and shareholders. And the third role is to work to generalize ideas with impact. And the manager can reduce the barriers to learning among employees and within the organization. This involves creating a psychological, safe, and comforting environment that increases the sharing of successes, failures, and best practices. That will do it for chapter 2. I hope you guys are able to take a lot from this. I know there was a lot of theory, and you may not feel like that you have enough of that theory to apply yet in your organization, but hopefully over the next several weeks, the culmination of information will take you from theory to practicing manager, and you will be able to see how this quick overview of our historical perspectives on management and then the contemporary viewpoints can allow you to be a more effective and efficient manager. So thank you for joining me in chapter 2. I look forward to seeing you in chapter 3.